Well, Happy New Year, everyone. It's hard to believe it's already 2025, but yes, it is 2025. And I'm wondering, I know it's only a couple days old, but are you beginning to get back into the normalcy of life? I mean, I know this little calendar right here is going to start filling up with all kinds of things that are going to be happening, and you may be back at work and already filling up your calendars as well. But as we start a new year, I know that for many of us, we want to begin the new year with some kind of resolution or something like that, something that we're going to try to do to improve ourselves. And for me, I usually do try to do that kind of thing. Like maybe it's to read more books, right? Maybe read more books, maybe be more present to my family. Maybe it's to give more. Maybe that's a resolution that I have, is to give more. Maybe it's to find ways to be more helpful to people. Maybe to be more faithful. All of us, I think, have these ideas of wanting to change something about who we are, wanting to increase certain things about who we are, make ourselves better at certain things. And, a lot of times it's the new year that we start to do that. And so as I was thinking about that, this year, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really made those New Year's resolutions yet. But what I recognized is this idea or this desire for more is sometimes gets us into trouble, but it's sometimes just this idea of things that we know need to increase within us. And maybe what needs to increase within us has to do with our faith life. I was thinking about this, and it reminded me of a story where Jesus was trying to teach his disciples, and they were listening to his teachings, and they recognized that some of the things that Jesus was teaching were things that were falling short in their own lives. And so at one point, as the disciples were gathered with Jesus and he was doing some of his teachings, the disciples that were listening said this. This is in chapter 17 of Luke, verse 5. The apostles said to Jesus, "Increase our faith." The Lord replied, "If you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry bush, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you." It's interesting. They, like us, sometimes want to be more faithful. And when they say to Jesus, "We want you to increase our faith," Jesus basically says, no, that's not your problem. It's not the amount of faith you have. That is not, if you had just a little bit of faith, you could move that tree. Another place he says, if you had just this little amount, this mustard seed of faith, you could say to a mountain, jump into the water, and it would. It's not about the amount of faith, Jesus is essentially saying, but it's the source of your faith. You see, that's where we really get ourselves into trouble. And that's where we really get ourselves into trouble with this concept of more as well. We want to increase certain things, but those things oftentimes that we want to increase points at the very God that we are worshiping. I mean, what is the object of your faith? What is the thing that you feel most secure in? Is it your own personal self? Is it a relationship that you may have that you feel is absolutely invincible? Is it in the market and your bank account? Is it in the government and what the government may be able to do for you and the country and the world around? What is the source? What is the object of our faith? Is it those things? Or is it truly in the God who created us and knows us better than we can even know ourselves? You see, that is, I think, one of the most important things that Jesus was trying to teach those disciples. He wasn't trying to increase their faith. He was trying to direct their faith towards its proper source. And that is God. And that is the God who loves us and invites us to love and care for others beyond what we can ever imagine. That's what we need more of. More of recognizing the object of our faith And perhaps this new year, somehow our resolutions can be centered around that idea. Lord, give me more of the ability to understand what you are calling me to do. Help me be centered on who you are as my God. Help me be centered on this idea and the truth that I am your child.